Today, my guest on Perth Property Hub is Rebecca Rossi, Director of award-winning construction company Ultimo Constructions. Today, Beck is going to take us through the process of what happens between finding that piece of land and actually getting on site with your builder. Hi Beck, thanks for coming on to Perth Property Hub today.
Thanks for having me, Kerry.
So today I'm really interested to find out from you what happens in terms of the process from when someone finds a piece of land and how long it takes to actually get to site.
Yeah, okay. So this is one of the processes that's probably quite misunderstood. It's quite a lengthy process from the time you buy a block or get your design done to actually then getting to site. So a lot of people don't understand the process, so let me share. So once you've found your block of land, the next thing to do, if it hasn't already, is get a feature survey. So that's where the surveyor will come out and take all the levels, so we know, if it's a flat block, if there's any, drops in the block, where the sewer is, etc. So you need that for your design. So that tells us where everything is and how to design the actual house according to the block and the block measurements. So once you've found a builder and you decide to get your design done, what will happen is generally, and every builder's different and has their own process, but generally you'll have some kind of design agreement. So that might be called a preparation of plans agreement or a PPA or a design agreement. So that's an agreement between yourself and the builder or the architect to actually have them design your home or development for you.
So once that design element is complete, what's the next step in the process?
So once you're happy with the design and you've got it perfect or close to perfect, because you can always make changes later down the track, is having it quoted. So you might decide, and depending on what builder you're with, you might be locked in with them if you didn't pay for the plans. So if they're free, generally you're locked in with that builder. So they'll provide the quote for you. And I guess going back to the design, and it is important to have a look at who you are actually getting the design from, because if you actually pay for the design, generally you'll own the copyright, and then you're free to have it quoted by as many builders as you want. But if you've sort of got your plan for free, then generally you'll be locked into that one builder. They own the copyright.
That's interesting. So I guess that's one of the real benefits then of using a smaller boutique builder.
Yep.
Is that, if they're paying you for that design piece,
yeah,
then they basically own those plans.
Yeah, in most cases, that's how Ultimo operates. Once you've got the design done, then you can have it quoted. And I guess in the quoting process, again, depending on how busy the builder is, generally that can take, sort of up to 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks to have that quoted, because it's not a quick process. It takes a lot of time for a builder to actually quote the house.
And then at what point in time do you actually sign the contract? Is that sort of after you've done that preliminary drawings and you're quoting, and then you go to contract phase from there?
Yeah, generally, and again, every builder has different processes. Sometimes if your design needs development approval, we'll put that in first before going to contract, because that in itself is a 3-month process. So on top of the 2 to 3 months you've just spent doing, design, well, it's probably not 3 months, but probably 2 months, doing design and getting the quote right. If your house or development needs development approval, which I would say 95% of the work we do does need development approval, then that's another 3-month process on top. So while that's in council, we can be preparing the contract for when it comes out, because generally you can't get finance approval until you've got development approval.
So with the finance, I know I find a lot people get their pre-approval but then we can't actually get the formal approval until such time as we are able to access the full working drawings, the signed contract and the specifications from the builder, because the valuer needs that to get the valuation done for the lender in order for them to sign off on that final approval. And they'll often do that without the development approval, but of course they won't release any money to the builder until that's in place.
Correct. So that's why if it does need a development approval, we'll do the contract once we have development approval. So after your development approval, then comes the contract, generally speaking. So then you'll have a contract, whether it's might be a master builder's contract or we use a HIA contract. Other I guess bigger builders, they might have their own contract. With a HIA or master builder's contract, the clauses are standard, so we can't change any of the clauses, but we can put the progress payment schedule details in, and you can add any special conditions, whereas other contracts might have loopholes to not necessarily protect the client. So that's something to always check, I guess, when it comes to contract. So after your contract is signed, we can then get formal finance approval.
Woohoo!
I know, which is, it's always a long process to get to the finance approval, and I guess that sometimes takes another 4 weeks, sometimes longer, depending on what's involved and what's required from the client that they have to provide. So we're really sort of pushing 6 months now. So generally speaking, it is around 6 months to 7 months to get to site. So once you have your unconditional finance approval, we can then obtain the home warranty insurance. So a lot of people don't know about home warranty insurance or home indemnity insurance, as it's sometimes called. So a builder can't obtain a building permit without obtaining home indemnity insurance. And what that covers the client for, so it's taken out in the client's name, and what it covers the client for is, it's for 6 years, and it covers the client while the house is under construction. If the builder dies, if the builder goes missing, or if the builder goes into liquidation. So if something happens to your builder during construction, you're actually covered by this home indemnity insurance.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so when do you do the pre-start?
So pre-start construction would normally come sort of at the contract stage. You'd be sort of working on your working drawings in the background, which is your construction set of drawings. So your construction set would have room layouts, bathroom details, heights of where your shower goes, all the little details that the builder needs to build the house correctly. So once we've got the working drawings, then you can do pre-start. So it kind of happens parallel to contract and home indemnity insurance and finance. At the same time, you'd be doing sort of working drawings and your pre-start.
Okay.
So pre-start is probably hands down our favourite part of the process. It's where the client comes in to meet our interior designer, who's in-house, and selects everything for their build. It's exciting, but it's a really long day and it's tiring. It's overwhelming.
I bet.
It is.
But it would be fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
It is very fun. But yeah, it's the best part of the process.
So Beck, what is left to do before we actually get to site and get that slab down?
Okay, so there's a couple of reports that we need to prepare. One of them is the engineer's details, where they'll draw up some details of how the house needs to be built, as well as detail what type of soil you have on your block and any other special requirements such as coastal requirements that might require special steel if you're living near the coast. And then we also need to have the energy report done as well. So that'll determine how energy efficient your house is, so whether it's a 4.5 star, 6 star or 8 star. And then after that, it goes to the certifiers to be building certified, and then we can submit it for building permit.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then when we get the permit, we can go to site.
We can go to site. Yep.
Yay!
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it's quite a long process, and a lot of people don't actually understand the process, but I think it's really important to have realistic expectations about the time frame from when you buy a block to actually getting to site.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much for all of that information. That's been really enlightening.
No worries.
And I look forward to welcoming you back to Perth Property Hub again sometime in the future.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.